So to talk a little bit about characterization, there are many different types of descriptions of characters. So for example, we talk about round characters and flat characters. You guys know the difference between these two? What's a round character? It's not like Michael Moore, someone who's excessively fat. What is a round character, and how is it different than a flat character?
Round characters change their personality.
Okay, I think you're moving ahead to the next two sets. A round character is really round because it's what? Okay, yeah, very good. So a round character is very, the author is very descriptive. We know motivation. We know the appearance very well. Okay, so round characters are very like, wow, we know this, right? Flat characters on the other side, or maybe just a name. We don't really know much about what they want. They're just a face. With appearance, we might know just who they are. We don't know much about them. So they're very flat. Okay. So moving on to what Kyle was saying, when you said that they change. When we talk about changing, what's the word for that? Like talk about electricity. When you go up to a doorknob and you touch that electric, what kind of electricity is that called? Because it sits there, right? So static character is a character that doesn't move or doesn't change. What's the opposite of a static character? Anyone remember from 3rd grade? Dynamic. Okay, so dynamic character changes. It's like Luke Skywalker, right? He's constantly in change. So he starts off in the first movie, the good movie. He starts off in the good movie and he's just kind of a kid and he doesn't really know his power. And he's just kind of like, I don't want to leave, but I'm afraid, right? And then as the movies progress, he becomes more and more powerful and he begins to trust himself more. And so he changes a lot. Someone like Jabba the Hutt, or, well, Darth Vader does change, but Jabba the Hutt, he's more of a static character because his motivations don't change. He's always Jabba the Hutt. He's always fat. He sits there and he goes, oh, Jedi, right? Okay, so we've got these 4 right here. Then we got 2 things. We've got indirect and direct characterization. Okay? Indirect characterization is what?
They give you everything about the character.
Yeah, when the character says their motivation or says their motive or their desire. Indirect characterizations are more like thoughts or actions that show who this person is. Okay, you're going to need to know this. Pardon?
Could indirect also be like ideas?
Ideas as well, yeah. So if they think about something, that's an indirect because the other characters don't see it. But the character says like, I'm going to kill you. That's a direct characterization because everybody, including the audience, knows what the character is saying, right? What the character wants. Indirect, you see, like the best characterization's indirect because you have to read the characters. So like, for example, going back to Sergeant Morris, we see his kind of, what's the word? His fearfulness, his regret over the monkey's paw. And so from that, we can kind of ascertain, okay, this monkey's paw is a really dangerous thing. Okay? And also, you can see how naive and how ignorant the whites are. They're like, oh, we're gonna get some money, yay! And they don't pay attention to Sergeant Morris at all, right? And his indirect characterization. He even speaks kind of sarcastically about the monkey's paw, but he doesn't tell them directly, like, don't use it, it's going to kill you, right? He says, yeah, people have used it and, they've regretted it and so on. And some people have even taken their lives after they used it. But of course, the whites are so naive, they can't pick that up. And the final thing, which isn't really hard to describe at all, is of course the protagonist, which is the what?
The main character.
Main character, yeah, we all know that. Okay, and then the opposite is the what? Antagonist, right. And this is not the other main character, it's what?
It's like the villain, like the person, the protagonist.
Okay, so let's define it back here when we talk about conflict. In man versus man, in a man versus man conflict, the antagonist is? Okay, let's rephrase it. Okay, man versus man conflict. The antagonist is the conflict for? Right here, the protagonist. So the antagonist is the conflict for the protagonist. Okay? Now, in more specific tense, there's also this thing called the foil. And this is the thing I'll wrap up with. Do you guys know what a foil is? Do you remember Romeo and Juliet from last year? Romeo, what's his personality like? Think of the beginning. Like, okay, is he really angry?
No, you're like
Kind of laid back.
kind of calm.
He's always kind of in love.
Very like passionate.
He's like, oh, guys, I'm in love with this girl. And she's going to become a nun. I just don't know what to do. And of course, they're like, yeah, right. Well, his foil is Tybalt. Okay? So what's Tybalt like?
Very like angry.
He gets pissed like at the drop of a hat. Okay? He sees Romeo coming to the party, right? And he's like, dude, let me stab this guy right now. Okay? I'm going to go down the stairs and stab the guy. And it's only his uncle that stops him. Okay? And then finally, when they get to Act 3, where you got with Mercutio, right? So Tybalt's like, I'm going to stab Romeo, right? I'm going to go kill him right now. And so Romeo's like, no, man, no. I'm like your family now, right? And he doesn't reveal why. But the two are foils. Okay? So Tybalt is really hot-headed, and he's on the opposite family, right? He's really kind of like emotional and stuff like that. Whereas Romeo's just kind of like cool and like, yeah, man, I like this girl, Rosalind, she's hot. Oh, wait, no, I like this girl, Juliet now, right? So they serve as foils, almost like, if you think of Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader, right? Luke Skywalker, what color is he?
Yellow.
Black.
Are you guys okay?
Red.
No, he wears white. I mean, you could say maybe light tan, too.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Darth Vader.
No. Luke Skywalker, he's white, right? He wears all white. He is a good guy. He's kind of naive. He's kind of like, but he does kind of have an inner strength. Darth Vader, what color is he?
Yellow.
Black, right? He's really kind of domineering. He's overwhelming, like he crushes the guy's neck from 5 feet away, right? 6 feet away, maybe social distance, neck crushing, okay? But he's really, really powerful, and he kind of dominates the screen for those 3 movies, whereas Luke Skywalker, it's a kind of a high staircase to climb to get to that level of domination that Darth Vader has. And then finally, when they face off and there's the Emperor there, he finally kind of gets to that level of Darth Vader. But The two are foils, right? One's white, one's black. One's young, one's old. One's very, very powerful. One's very kind of weakish. Okay, one's very naive. One's very knowledged. Okay, and so that's the definition of a foil when you have two people that are diametrically opposite to each other. And you'll see that a lot with protagonists and antagonists as well. Even though I wouldn't call Tybalt an antagonist, even though he does kind of go after Romeo sometimes. But he gets killed the third act, so it's like, whatever. So I love Romeo and Juliet. It's a great thing. So that's your notes right there for characterization. We talked about plot development. Now we go over characterization. I think next story is going to be There Will Come Soft Rains, and that's going to talk about setting, because basically the setting itself is the character in that short story. Okay, if there's no questions, I'm going to move on to my next thing. Any questions from the crowd? No? Gabby, do you have a question? Did you enjoy Romeo and Juliet?
No.
Did you read it?
Yeah.
That's right, we were under quarantine.
We did like the first two
Oh,
acts
yeah,
and then
we're